It has been quite some time, but we are back. The NFL Draft is less than a week away, April 24th, Thursday night, 8 p.m., so I got to give you my mock draft. Let's get into it. Kenny C back on the mic for my returning viewers. It has been quite some time since I made some longer form content. Been really focusing on the YouTube shorts. Check out those. Also check out the TikTok at the Kenny C Show. For my new viewers, right now I'm trying to grab your attention. Stay right here. We talk any and all sports on this platform, from the NFL to the NBA to the MLB to the NHL. So you want to subscribe to the channel. I keep this energy all video, baby. We're locked in. The NFL Draft. As football fans, we await this day. Once the offseason hits, right after the Super Bowl, we are locked in and waiting. Who will our team get in the first round with our first round pick? The Green Bay Packers. I'm going to start with them. Why? Because it's in Green Bay, Wisconsin this year, baby. The draft is being held in Green Bay, so expect all the cheeseheads to show up and show out. And with the number 23 overall pick, the Packers were on the clock. It's been 23 years since the Packers picked a wide receiver in the first round. Javon Walker out of FSU. 23 years. I don't see that trend changing anytime soon. It's clear when Aaron Rodgers was still in the yellow and green that we do not want wide receivers in the first round. For whatever reason, we just don't want it. We're allergic to it. I don't see Gutekunst changing that trend. I do think if Matthew Golden is somehow there by that pick, that's a no-brainer out of Texas. Emeka Egbuka is who I've seen in a lot of mock drafts as well out of Ohio State. Luther Burden III out of Mizzou potentially. I don't think they go wide receiver. If anything, I think we honestly trade back. Looking at the past with Gutekunst, he loves to trade, loves to get more capital. I could see a trade back. Last year he didn't move. He took Jordan Morgan, offensive tackle. I don't see them going O-line here. We got some needs. We got DB, wide receiver, and edge. Jair Alexander, the future with the organization is uncertain. Robert Rochelle departed. Eric Stokes, the big draft bust, he departed. Corey Ballantyne. So there's a clear need there, but I think the Packers will address that in later rounds. While we only have one second rounder, one third rounder, one fourth rounder, and so on and so forth. We have 2 seventh rounders. I think the Packers will address DB later in the draft. Defensive tackle is also an area of need, and that's ultimately where I think the Packers go here. Edge rusher, both of those positions hand in hand with what the Packers need on this defensive front. But with the departure of TJ Slayton in free agency to the Cincinnati Bengals and Devontae Wyatt, the Georgia product, this being the last year of his deal, who knows if the Packers will pick it up. Kenny Clark's getting older. They drafted him in 2016. He's getting up there. He's had some problems over the last few years with staying on the field and staying healthy. I think that they address the need of D-tackle, a guy that's going to be a disruptor, and that is Derek Harmon out of Oregon. That's who I see the Packers going with here. He's a big man with explosiveness who has great pass rush ability. He led all defensive tackles in pressures last year in the FBS. This is a guy that has an excellent blend of athleticism, of length, of strength and size. I think that this would be a home run pick for the Packers. 6'4", 313 pounds. Kenneth Grant out of Michigan is another guy that comes to mind. Another guy that the Packers could target in the first round here. I think they trade back. I don't know with who and for what, but Derek Harmon is a guy that has been mocked up in a lot of mock drafts as someone that, like Cooper DeJean last year, is a Packers pick. That's a guy who the Packers could go after. I really wanted DeJean last year. We had multiple opportunities to get DeJean, but we didn't. But hey, we still got Edge Cooper, who's been an absolute stud. But I think Derek Harmon is a great pick here. What say my Cheeseheads fans? We're going to head over to pick number 10 now, the Chicago Bears. We always have to have the Packers ahead of the Bears and on top of the Bears as usual. But let's go to number 10. At number 10 here, the Chi-Town Bears on the clock. I really wonder how many Bears fans are going to show up to Green Bay for draft day, but you already know, once that 10th overall pick comes around and the Bears are on the clock, they are going to get booed to all high hell. But let's be serious for a second here. The Bears' areas of concern, where they need to address: offensive line, defensive line, running back, safety. But the Bears here, they did a great job in free agency. You got to give credit where credit is due. Ryan Poles did an outstanding job. I think I gave the Bears an A or an A- grade when I talked about free agency grades. Go check that video out if you haven't. They did great in getting Joe Thuney. They got Drew Dahlman, the top center available from the Falcons. They did an outstanding job. You got Darnell Wright on that right side. But left tackle, Braxton Jones, he's missed 11 games over the last 2 years. This is a guy that's in a contract year. I think if you're the Chicago Bears, you look forward to blocking up front securely for what you perceive or who you perceive to be the future of your organization with Caleb Williams, or in Caleb Williams, I should say. You need to shore up that up front for him and block well up front for Caleb to be able to do what he needs to do. And that is why I think the Bears shore up the offensive line here. I think this man, Will Campbell out of LSU, is going to fall back. I think that the first tackle off the board, well, I'll tell you what the first tackle off the board is when I get there with my picks, so you'll have to wait. That's a little hint. But I think Campbell's going to fall because of this absurd thing, this absurd obsession where all of these teams are honing in on the fact that the guy has sub 33-inch arms. Let me tell you something. Who in the hell cares about that? When you have a guy of Campbell's technique, with Campbell's size at 6'6", 319 pounds, that should not matter at all. This guy has great core strength, great technique, great mobility. I don't want to hear a damn thing about his arms, because you know who else had sub 33-inch arms, or who had perceived short arms? Joe Staley, Joe Thomas, and Taylor Lewan. I think they did pretty damn good in the NFL and had pretty long careers and pretty great careers at that. I'm downplaying that, clearly. They were just fine. They were dominant. I think the same for Will Campbell. 38 starts. He never missed a game in 3 years with the Tigers. 5 total sacks allowed. This is a can't-miss pick if you are Ryan Poles and he is still there. I know that there's a lot of buzz around the Chicago Bears going for a running back at this spot. I don't think that that's going to be a thing. I don't think they go for a tight end in Tyler Warren, even though Ben Johnson loves his two tight end sets. I don't think they go Ginty. I don't think that they go Tyler Warren here. I don't see it. I see them going for the sure, safe pick with the bona fide stud in Will Campbell. Well, let's go to number 9. At number 9 here, the New Orleans Saints are on the clock. They have some draft needs, of course, like every team. Cornerback, offensive line, and wide receiver should be the primary areas of focus for the Saints. But you need somebody in that secondary. You brought back Isaac Yiadom, sure, but that's a depth move. I think you need somebody in that secondary to pair opposite Kool-Aid McKinstry, and I think that could be Will Johnson out of Michigan. You could go Jahdae Barron here out of Texas, but I think that they go with the smooth, big, instinctive defensive back in Will Johnson, a guy who 2 seasons ago won a natty with Michigan. Yes, he struggled with injuries with the turf toe and with the shoulder this past season, but he's got 9 interceptions in his 3 seasons as a Wolverine. 3 of those 9 picks he ran back for touchdowns. This is a guy who, yes, he dealt with a hamstring injury as well, did not make his Michigan Pro Day, but he is without a doubt a top-tier cornerback in this draft, a can't-miss pick. And if you're the Saints, I think that this would be a great option to get into that secondary and pair with Kool-Aid McKinstry. What say you, my Saints fans? Let's go now to number 8. At number 8, you got the Carolina Panthers. Keep pounding their areas of need. Definitely, in my opinion, they need to lock in and focus on the defensive side of the ball, because they allowed the most points in NFL history last year as a defense. You got a guy in Jalen Walker out of Georgia that I think will still be here for sure, the edge rusher, who is a Dick Butkus Award winner last year for the top linebacker in the country. He had 6.5 sacks, paving the way for the Georgia Bulldogs. This is a guy who brings versatility. I know that word is vastly overused, but in my opinion, Walker is a guy who embodies that to a T. This is a man who can fly around sideline to sideline or come off the edge with speed and rush the passer. While, yes, he needs to lock in more and excel more with his pass rushing ability. Primarily, if you had to pick something that's an area of weakness for him, I guess you'd have to have him polish up his ability to rush the quarterback. But this is a guy in Walker who's a hybrid player. He is a guy that can come off the ball for you or rush the quarterback. He had 12 and a half sacks in his 3 years at Georgia, 56 solo tackles. He won the Natty with Georgia in 2022. I know that they went out and they made some moves the Panthers did to shore up the defense with Tershawn Wharton, with Bobby Brown III at the nose tackle position. Obviously, you already got Derek Brown, who's a beast, but you need somebody else that's going to be that impact player. Pat Jones II had a really good season last year. They got him in on a pretty cheap deal when you look around the league and you compare it to other deals that were made. They got him for the low, but I think if you throw Walker in this defense, he is a guy that's going to make a day one difference, and this is a big pick. This is a pick here for Carolina that I think would be a home run. And at number 7, the New York Jets. Gang green with a fully revamped front office in terms of the GM with Darren Muji and a brand new head coach in Aaron Glenn. They want to get this pick right. First pick under their tenure, you have to get it right. You got to start off on the strong foot. Offensive line, wide receiver, tight end. These are positions that the Jets could target here. Everyone's mocking them to get Tyler Warren out of Penn State. That's the big pick that I've seen. Some guys even have Shador falling to the Jets. I don't think they go quarterback. You brought in Justin Fields. He's only 26 years old, 2-year deal. They want to try to change the trajectory of his career. And how do you do that? You get guys up front that can block for him. Tyron Smith, retired, an absolute legend, retired with the Cowboys. You got Okorafor on the other side, but I think he's replaceable. You got Fashanu as the left tackle. I think you replace Okorafor on the right side, and you get a guy named Armand Membu out of Ole Miss, 6'4", 334 pounds. Picture that, right? A giant mammoth of a human being who ran a 4.91 40-yard dash. This is a guy who in 411 pass blocking snaps as a right tackle gave up just 9 pressures and 0 sacks over 3 years. He is densely built, and if you watch the tape, Membu steamrolls guys. I think that this is a must-have pick if you want to get that stalwart, cornerstone offensive lineman, offensive tackle. You got to go with Membu here if you're the New York Jets. Now let's head over to number 6. Jets fans, I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts in that comment section below. The Jets are my New York team. I think that this is the move for them. What do you think? What say you? Let's go to number 6, where the Las Vegas Raiders have a big pick. And at number 6, the aforementioned Vegas Raiders, they need to get a wide receiver in here. I know a lot of people are mocking up Ginty at this pick, but in my opinion, I'm going to go with a guy who I still think is the clear-cut number 1 receiver in this draft class. You got Jacoby Myers and Trey Tucker as your 1 and 2 right now for your quarterback in Geno Smith, who you just brought in on a 2-year, $85.5 million deal. You got to get him a wide receiver 1, right? You go out, in my opinion, with this pick, and you get Tedaro McMillan out of Arizona. He's a possession receiver in every sense of that word. This is a guy who clearly, his biggest knock, he's not the most physically gifted in terms of his frame and how he handles press coverage off the line, but he's 6'5", 212 pounds. He's going to go up and he's going to bring that ball down for you. And Geno, who's obviously getting up there in age, Geno's going to loft it up and want a guy like DK Metcalf to go up and get that ball. This is a guy that comes back on his routes. He has a great catch radius. He hauled in 18 touchdowns, 2,721 yards over the last 2 years for Arizona. This pick here is gold if the Raiders go with McMillan, in my opinion. And the silver and black, I want to hear from you guys. Who would you guys go with? Who do you guys think that the Raiders are going to go with here? I think it's a no-brainer to go for McMillan. We're getting into the top 5 now. This is the fun part of the draft. Also, a very predictable part of the draft in most cases, but I think there'll be some trade-ups in this one. I really do. I know that that's said every year, and it's honestly become cliche, but I can definitely see it happening. I don't have a trade-up with this pick here, but at number 5, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars on the clock, staying put and getting a guy in Mason Graham out of Michigan, the D tackle, 6'4", 296 pounds, the ultimate interior disruptor who will be added to this defense for Hines Allen, and that duo will dominate. I know they have Devon Hamilton and Mason Smith, but in my opinion, they are no Mason Grahams. Non-stop interior disruptor, and that's what Mason Graham is. This guy has a motor. He's a great run stuffer, and your first-year defensive coordinator, Anthony Campanelli, this is a guy who was my guy for the Packers. He was our linebackers coach. He was also the defensive run game coordinator, and this guy is the best run stuffer in the class, and Mason Graham. I think that this pick right here for the Jacksonville Jaguars is destined to have Mason Graham all over it. He's destined to be holding that Jacksonville Jaguars jersey out on the stage with Goodell. I think that the Jacksonville Jaguars will go with Graham here, but I want to hear from my Duval fans. I want to hear from you guys. Let's go to number 4. Moving right on along in this top 5 here, coming in at number 4 on the clock, the New England Patriots with new head coach Mike Vrabel, former Patriots legend on the defensive side of the ball, a defensive-minded guy. The Patriots made some big moves in free agency, and I graded them very highly. I think I gave them an A or an A+. They went out and they got Harold Landry. They got Robert Spillane. They got Milton Williams, Carlton Davis. They made some big moves. They also made some depth moves for the offensive line with Wes Schweitzer, with Garrett Bradbury, with Morgan Moses. They could still address offensive line, but I think they get the best player available, and at this pick, I think you get none other than the defensive end out of Penn State, Abdul Carter. He gets comps to Micah Parsons, his fellow Nittany Lion alum. They both rock number 11, but Abdul Carter is a specimen. I call him the Tasmanian Devil because he comes out of the gates with great ferocity. He is scrappy, and he raises hell for opposing offensive linemen and opposing quarterbacks. This is a guy who played through a shoulder injury in the Orange Bowl. I'm a big Notre Dame fan. He brought the pressure. He came after Riley Leonard. He had 1 sack and 7 pressures in that Orange Bowl, despite battling a shoulder injury. The guy had 12 sacks last year, 68 combined tackles, and finishes his career with Penn State having 23 sacks. This will be a generational pick for the New England Patriots. Let's get into that top 3. With the 3rd overall pick, the New York Giants on the clock, GM Joe Schoen and head coach Brian Daboll on the hot seat. You got John Mara, the owner, breathing down your neck, saying just a few months ago that he's running out of patience. He wants this team to start winning football games. Joe Schoen goes out, gets a couple vets in Russell Wilson, who's 36 years old, and Jameis Winston, who's 31 years old. You know what you're getting out of both of them. Russ, up and down season last year, he still can sling the football. He's still a very solid option at quarterback. Jameis Winston, you're getting a roller coaster with that guy. He's America's quarterback. I love his personality. But let's be honest here. The Giants' win total is set at 5.5. Over-under for wins is 5.5. With Winston and Russ at the helm, how many games are the Giants really going to win? 6? Maybe 7? I don't think they make the playoffs. And if they do, how far are they really going to get? So what does Schoen have to do, in my opinion? I think he has to buy himself time for him and Daboll, and you get a quarterback here, and you develop that quarterback for at least the next 2 to 3 seasons. That buys you time to say, hey, look, we just got this guy. We really think he could be the quarterback of the future. Let us cook for a bit here. And that's why I think they go with Shedeur Sanders out of Colorado to buy time, to let him learn under Russ and Jameis, and let's cultivate a new quarterback and get him under the helm for the New York Giants, maybe by next year in 2026. I don't see them going anywhere else, in my opinion here, but with the quarterback position. And when you look at Shedeur Sanders, there's some knocks on him for looking for the big play too much instead of taking the surefire completions. He's got average velocity on the football. He's got slower rip times. He tends to kind of lean into pressure and sort of move towards the tackles and towards those edge rushers in turn and kind of create sacks. Let's be honest, that Colorado offensive line was not good, but Shedeur Sanders at times does not also help out, but that is something that is coachable. You look at Shedeur's positive traits. He keeps his eyes downfield at all times. He's got really good pocket presence. He buys time in the pocket. He's mobile. He puts the ball on the frame. I think that this would be a really good pick for the New York Giants as at the quarterback position for years to come. This is a guy that you can groom in your system, have him learned under a couple of veterans that you brought in here this year, and buy yourself time. I think Shedeur is the right pick here at number 3 if I'm the New York Giants. And at number 2, a team that is no stranger to picking in the top 3 in the NFL draft historically, I'm talking about the Dog Pound. The Cleveland Browns on the clock here. When you look at what owner Jimmy Haslam said not too long ago in reference to Deshaun Watson, we thought we had the quarterback. Basically, we screwed that one up royally. And now you're paying him $46 million a year. So in my eyes, what do here? You get a one-of-a-kind player, a generational type of player, a Shohei Ohtani-esque player. When you make the comp from baseball to football, you get a guy that we haven't had since Deion Sanders, in the sense that this man can play both sides of the ball at a very high level. Obviously, we have to see if that translates in the NFL, but this is a guy that said, look, if I'm not playing both sides of the ball, I'm not playing at all. I'm talking about wide receiver / defensive back Travis Hunter out of Colorado, 6 foot, 183 pounds. This is a guy who can bring the boom on both sides of the ball. You can put him in the offense as the number 1 wide receiver, and then next drive, you can have him opposite Denzel Ward on that defense. This is a guy who gets comps to Devontae Smith in terms of his wide receiver skill. Defensively, he's instinctive. He is a natural football player, and you can't teach that. He's got rare range on defense, elite ball skills, a jump ball tactician. I think that this is a guy who the Browns need, and this would be a phenomenal pick for them, because when you look at what he did at Colorado, offensively, he had 1,258 yards with 15 touchdowns, and he had 4 interceptions in 13 games on the defensive side of things. Do I have to say any more, Browns fans? Do you agree with me? What do you want here? Do you want a quarterback? Do you want Abdul Carter? I think you should go with Travis Hunter, but you tell me. Now let's get to that number 1 overall pick, shall we? With the first pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select quarterback Cam Ward, Miami. Come on, folks. We all know that it's going to happen. Every single year that the NFL Draft comes around, you get a sense for who that player is going to be at number 1 and who is definitely going to go at number 1. The Titans out with former GM Rand Carthon, in with new GM Mike Borgonzi, former assistant GM of the Chiefs, longtime member of that upper management for the Chiefs, and they're going to keep Brian Callahan as their head coach, so they got to get a quarterback for the future. This is going to be the first pick for Borgonzi as the GM of the Titans, and he doesn't want to mess that up. You get the guy for the future. It's clear to see that it wasn't Will Levis, the second-round pick in the 2023 draft, 21 touchdowns to 16 picks, 3,899 yards, nothing to write home about. Cam Ward, however, is somebody to write home about. The Hurricane set records, single-season records at Miami last year, 4,313 yards, 39 touchdowns to just 7 picks, and a 67.2 completion percentage. You're getting a quarterback who's going to make the tight window throws. He throws over the middle, and he excels in doing so. He has good escapability. He's mobile. This is everything you want in a quarterback. I think that this is the pick that the Titans need to make to move forward with their franchise and hopefully get back on the right track. When you look historically, the last time the Titans had the first overall pick in 2016, they traded it to the Rams. It ultimately ended up being Jared Goff. And that kind of worked out for the Titans anyway because they ended up getting Derrick Henry, a Hall of Fame running back. But here, they get their quarterback with hopes that he could be someday a Hall of Famer. Titans fans, what do you think? One of my good friends, Mike, is a big Titans fan. I want to hear his thoughts in the comment section below. Probably the only Titans fan that I personally know, being in New York. But hey, I want to hear from the Titans fans. Let me know what you think. Let me know, every football fan that's out there. Whatever team you're a fan of, I want to know your thoughts on any and all of my picks. I want to hear your mock draft. I want to hear your picks. Give me your thoughts. I encourage you to do so in the comment section below. This has been another edition of the Kenny C Show. And if you like this, you subscribe to the channel. You should subscribe to the channel because more of this stuff is going to keep on coming.